struggle for equality and justice for black people in America began shortly after Jamestown was founded in 1607. Upon arrival in the American colonies, Africans found that local, state, and federal laws discriminated against them in areas of life such as religion, education, and economic opportunity. Enslavement became a fact of life for most of them. The history of African Americans and the legal system is poorly documented. Today, there remains a lack of historical records devoted to African American jurists and lawyers who put their lives on the line to change the course of American legal history. When Wayne State University law professor Edward Littlejohn sought research materials for a history of black jurists in Michigan, he discovered a void in the historical record.
So I started doing looking around individual lawyers. Found the same kind of problem, no records. I started going visiting senior lawyers, doing oral histories, before we pass on kind of thing. And many of them had something in their house, an old picture. And it's amazing how they give you this stuff. They wanted it to go somewhere, because it gets lost.
Professor Littlejohn's search for this history resulted in the subsequent law review article, Black Lawyers, Law Practice and Bar Association, 1844 to 1970, A Michigan History. This is the foundation work that led to the Keith Collection.
The law is a powerful, in this country, more so than I think in any other country, is a powerful instrument. Law is power.
Once individual collections become part of the Damon Keith Law Collection, it is the archivist's job to see that they are handled correctly. Damon Keith and Edward Littlejohn are among the African American jurists who have donated their records to the Keith Collection. The material within the collection is housed in the Walter P. Reuther Library, which provides a safe, climate-controlled environment for collections and staff expertise at handling rare and fragile documents. Keith archivist Lewis Jones explains.
Collections are typically broken down into what we call series. A series is an individual component of a collection. There might be a collection or a series of legal briefs or of correspondences or of meeting minutes or of diaries, very distinct units within a collection. And so we arrange those distinct units and put them all together because they don't typically come into the facility being neatly arranged. That's our job, the archivist's job.
The idea of a law collection devoted to documenting the legal history of African American lawyers and judges is a huge undertaking. First, such a project would need money to ensure its long-term survival. Second, it would need a name.
I tell you, we wanted something where you not only would give it stature, it would give it prestige and dignity, something that folks would recognize, and the name, of course, an African American. And I tell you, it was just Judge Keith from the beginning.
Well, of course, receiving recognition is always very important, and the fact that this is named after me at a school in which I received my master's degree in labor law, and in my hometown where I was born, is very meaningful. Wayne is dear. I had the pleasure of administering the oath to the present president, Irving Reed, and then to President Adamati prior to him. So I love Wayne State University, and to have this collection at this great university is very significant to me as a lawyer, a judge, and as a native Detroiter.
The primary focus of the Keith Collection is to provide scholarly materials for current and future historians, legal scholars, African American educators, and other interested people. An oral history project and exhibit about the 14th Amendment are projects whose completion is based on support from the Keith Collection. A website, research fellowships, and lecture series are among the efforts envisioned for the future of the collection.
We have an obligation as scholars, as lawyers, as archivists, as historians, as filmmakers, to take this information and make it available.
With a growing endowment of over $1 million, the Keith Collection is unlike any other enterprise. Records that cover certain periods are scarce, lost, or non-existent. There's no one place for the interested scholar to use as a resource on Black legal history. The Keith Collection stands alone in its mission to collect, maintain, and make available these materials, while exposing this history to mass audiences.
This is another dimension of the history of African American people. Fundamentally important, the relationship with the law. Just like I think George Crockett was one that appeared at the right time, doing the right thing, although he suffered terribly for it. I mean, He was on the cutting edge of change. He represented the communist leadership of the Communist Party in 1950. Went to jail for it as a lawyer locked up. His crime was he represented communists.
Among the personalities that the collection will cover is Harvard-trained attorney Charles Houston. Houston revamped the Howard University Law School and began to train the legal minds necessary to battle Jim Crow. Thurgood Marshall and Oliver Hill were among his first students. Houston laid the groundwork.
Here's a man who came along, I think, at the right time for his talents and the history and on the precipice of social change, all converging at the right time.
And it was Charlie Houston who, seeing this, said, I'm going to teach these young students at Howard University in a course in civil rights and litigation how we can develop a legal strategy that will dismantle and get rid of it root and all legally, that will comply with the 4 words on the Supreme Court: equal justice under law.
Thank you.